A lot of people pulling in six-figure salaries feel like they are constantly running. They get paid, clear their bills, buy groceries, and before they know it, they are waiting for the next payday just to keep the lights on. The problem here isn't a lack of income. Over 60% of high earners live paycheck to paycheck because their money management strategy relies entirely on hoping there's enough cash left over at the end of the month. To break out of the cycle, we need to bypass human willpower entirely. We do this using the 25-15-50-10 rule. This is a system that takes your paycheck and instantly splits it into 4 distinct buckets: growth, stability, essentials, and rewards. To get this set up, grab your latest pay stub, a list of your monthly bills, and your smartphone. We are going to put your finances on autopilot. By strictly automating where every dollar goes the second it lands, you stop being owned by your living expenses. Instead, you start acquiring the assets that will eventually pay for your freedom. Step 1 is growth. Open a tax-advantaged account, like a Roth IRA in the US or a stocks and shares ISA in the UK. Then schedule an automatic transfer, so exactly 25% of your income moves directly into this account on payday. Once the money lands, you have to invest it. It's incredibly tempting to try and guess which individual companies will explode in value, but unless you have insider knowledge and spend hours reading financial reports, picking single stocks is essentially gambling. Instead, put that money into index funds. You are simply buying a tiny, automated slice of the world's most successful companies. You don't need to check stock charts, you just let it sit and grow. This bar chart compares 2 investors to show exactly why time matters more than your monthly deposit. Billy starts at age 20, putting away $200 a month. Phil waits until he is 30, but tries to catch up by investing $300 a month. By the time they both reach age 60, Phil has actually put in $12,000 more out of his own pocket. But because Billy's money had an extra decade to compound at an average historical return, his total exceeds $1.26 million, leaving Phil behind by nearly $600,000. This pie chart shows how you can build a reliable foundation. Allocate 60% to a U.S. stock index, 30% to an international stock index, and 10% to a treasury bond fund to smooth out the market dips. Finally, switch the Auto Invest feature to the On position. You don't build wealth by picking the perfect stock. You build it by creating an automated machine that relentlessly buys assets month after month, decade after decade. When I was 18, I took out a loan for a little German car to get to work. 3 months later, the engine blew up. I had no backup cash, and if I couldn't get it fixed, I'd lose my job. That single breakdown forced me into high-interest debt and set my finances back an entire year. To prevent a disaster like that, calculate your monthly baseline. Add up your absolute core expenses: groceries, rent, utilities, and transport. Then multiply that total by 5. That number is your target stability fund. Open a high-yield savings account and set up a second automatic transfer. Direct 15% of your paycheck straight into this account every month to hit your target. This specific account has 3 strict rules. First, you must be able to withdraw the money within 24 hours. Second, it must carry 0 market risk. Do not invest your emergency cash in stocks or crypto. Third, it needs to sit in a high-yield account earning a base interest rate so inflation doesn't eat away its value. When an unexpected bill hits, a fully funded stability shield absorbs the impact. This guarantees you're never backed into a corner and forced to sell off growth investments when the stock market happens to be down. Next, pull up your bank statements and look at your essentials. This category covers exactly what keeps you alive and functioning. Cancel the streaming services you ignore and the subscriptions you forgot about. Your goal is to force your rent, groceries, utilities, and transport to fit under a strict 50% cap of your income. To hit that target, you have to tackle your 2 largest expenses. Negotiate your rent when your lease is up, consider splitting a place, and buy a reliable used car instead of financing a brand new vehicle that loses value the minute you drive it away. This flowchart maps out a mental defense system to protect your 50% boundary. When you want to buy something, start here. Ask yourself, is this an impulse purchase? If it is, force yourself to wait 7 full days. If 7 days pass and you still want the item, move down the flowchart. Are you buying it for the brand name or for its actual value? If it provides lasting value, ask one final question. Will this improve my life? If the answer is yes, you make the purchase. By locking your essential spending at half your income, you remove willpower from the equation. This artificial constraint forces you to critically evaluate your purchases and prioritize items with real utility over societal status symbols. The final step is setting up a dedicated checking subaccount. Call it your joy jar and automate the last 10% of your paycheck into it. A lot of aggressive savers skip this bucket entirely. But grinding through a strict financial diet without any immediate payoff quickly feels like a punishment. That deprivation inevitably leads to burnout and massive binge spending that derails your progress. To get the highest return on this 10%, spend it on experiences, not physical items. A weekend trip, a concert, or taking your family to a theme park buys memories that last and keeps you motivated to maintain your system. There is only one strict rule here. When the Joy Jar account hits zero, your fun spending stops completely until the next payday. You cannot pull cash from your growth, stability, or essentials buckets to cover a night out. Allocating a portion of your money purely for enjoyment isn't a lack of discipline. It is the precise mechanical strategy that makes decades of focused, consistent wealth building psychologically possible. Looking at this completed flowchart, you now have a single paycheck seamlessly splitting itself. Without you lifting a finger, your money automatically funds your future wealth, secures your safety net, handles your living expenses, and pays for your recreation. With this perfectly synchronized system running quietly in the background, you no longer have to stress over where your money went or whether you saved enough this month. The machine does the work. Now that your investments are on autopilot, stop refreshing your portfolio app. Take all that mental energy and direct it toward learning high-value skills so you can increase your baseline income and push even more money through the machine. Managing your finances like the top 1% doesn't require a genius-level intellect. It requires you to build a system so rigid and automatic that human error, fatigue, and willpower are completely removed from your financial life.